Welcome back to another fight review. The last one that we did, people seem to enjoy it, so I thought we'd get another one going. This is a kickboxing fight from Australia. It was for the cruiserweight, which is 90 kilograms South Pacific title, which is sort of one step up from a Australian title. South Pacific is like the South Pacific region. And this fight was interesting because it was basically the first one outside of the COVID lockdown. So if you're not aware, in Australia, the COVID lockdowns were pretty strict. You couldn't really do too much. And so training was pretty limited. And actually before this fight as well, so this fight was, the camp for this was even stranger because I'd gone to corner my friend Tai Tuivasa on UFC Fight Island. So I actually got to witness, it was Khabib's last ever fight, so I got to witness Khabib's retirement fight when he fought Justin Gaethje. And so we're on Fight Island, and then the rules for our return was that when we got back, we had to do 2 weeks in hotel quarantine in Australia. So that was just the rules that Australia had. So I got given the fight on Fight Island, so I started my camp when I was there in the hotel, when we were in the bubble in Abu Dhabi. And then the fight happened, Tai won his fight, we went back to Australia. The next 2 weeks of my fight camp were just in a hotel room, which was good in a way because there were no distractions, but obviously how much training can you really do in a hotel room? There wasn't any sparring that we could do. We were basically just doing pads and a little bit of conditioning. And then I think when we got out of quarantine, we had about 3 weeks left until the fight. So organised a sparring session. Very first sparring session, I threw a kick, hit my training partner's elbow and just break my toe, which doesn't sound bad, but I think when you do a sport or you do MMA, things like a broken toe really affect you because obviously it just limits your movement. When you're just doing kickboxing as well, it was on my left side and my left kick is a big weapon for me, and I just felt like I couldn't throw that kick at all because it just felt like my toe was just flapping around. So yeah, it was a weird camp, but I think what it did do was it just made me go into this fight with no expectations. I just felt like, well, I'm just gonna have to go in there and see what happens. And because I just had that relaxed mindset, I didn't have any set outcomes of going into the fight, so I just allowed whatever was gonna happen to happen. The guy I was fighting he had a good record. He was an Australian champion. I think he was like 8-2 or something like that. It was his hometown, so we're in Canberra, which is the capital of Australia, so he had a decent crowd there. He's dyed his hair red because he's in the red corner. Yeah, so we'll get into it. Luckily as well, this fight has no commentary. So there were no commentators for some reason for this fight, so you can't have any biased commentary.
Round one.
Round one. So yeah, so I throw that left kick there, and basically that was me just testing out how my foot was gonna feel because I had the broken toe on that side, and I remember it just felt terrible. So I just thought, yeah, I'm not gonna throw that again. But yeah. So straight away he's putting pressure on me, which he's going to have to because he's a much shorter opponent. But obviously with kickboxing in the ring, for me it's a lot of the thing is trying to get off. They're trying to get me onto the ropes because then my range isn't as good there, and I'm trying to get the center so that I have all that space behind me. So you can see that I've got all the space behind me where I can actually make the most of my range, and then if he attacks I can go backwards and evade. If my back's on the ropes, there's nowhere to go backwards, so it gives them the chance to cut me off. So I think a lot of why I have success in the kickboxing is because I was able to get the center ring again. I was just flowing here. I just felt, I never started my fights too fast. So I'd try and just sort of get a feel for what they were doing and make my reads and then adjust. So I'm still trying to throw the left kick, but I'm just not confident throwing it. And my chin's quite high there, so there was a little jab as he stepped in, just off balance him. I feel quite light on my feet here for a big man. But yeah, he's trying to cut me off and get me onto the cage. But there I'm just using feints really to back him up. I think a lot of my game as well, like I'll kick at a certain level. So you see there, I was kicking a lot to the leg, and then because I'd kicked so many times to the leg, I felt that his head was open, so I could just come over the top and land that head kick. But here I'm not, at the start of the fight, I'm not really sitting down on too many shots. I'm just sort of trying to create the openings. And it was a 5-round fight, so we had loads of time to work. I also felt like my opponents would try and put the pressure on early, and then that would, as long as I stayed pretty defensively sound, that would be a downfall to them because they're using a lot of energy. And an outside kick again. And using good feints and just trying to like overload them and attack different options. But I feel like it's pretty even at this point. We're both still really just feeling each other out. But I felt, see when he started to back up onto the ring there, I felt like it was pretty early into the round, but I think my style in kickboxing would just overwhelm people as well with all the feints and the attacking the different levels. So people are getting stressed out because they're not sure where the attack's going to come from. So you can see there's probably about halfway through the round, he's gone from really pressing forward on me to then I'm just pressing him back to the ropes just by using my feints. So I think as soon as I started to see that, I'd start to open up a little bit more and put the power in a little bit more because you know that their minds, they're adjusting a little bit, they're breaking a little bit. But he's still dangerous, he's still throwing heavy hands. So I've got to make sure, that was nice, I like that combo, the knee to the right hook. But still just taking my time, teeps to the body, question mark kick. I think there I felt like the left hook was landed nicely as well. So I've been mixing up between going left straight and then because I've been throwing the straights, his right hand had been coming forward a bit, so I started attacking the hook around the side of his guard. And I felt here that I started to open him up a little bit more and start to find my rhythm. Crescent kick. That was a nice right hand from him. But still just trying to attack all different targets. But here I felt like I was sitting down on my punches a little bit more, so I felt like, because I'd had some success with the boxing, and I'd been quite upright and throwing loads of kicks, but I felt like when I was throwing my left straight and my left hook, it'd been fine in the opening. So I remember thinking like, I'm going to sit down on my punches a little bit more here and try and actually land one with power. And it was at this point here where I basically do that, and I think in the next level I have some success with it. Did good defense, boom. And that hook, I remember, I landed it right around the temples, and straight away his legs stiffened up a bit, and he obviously started doing a little bit, when you hit, especially when you hit someone in the temple, it seems it just like discombobulates them, and their legs, their motor reflexes start going a bit more, like they're not as aware of where they are, and they get off balance. So this obviously right at the end of the round though, so I didn't have too much time to work on it. But I think I started just I thought I had him hurt, so I started trying to load up, trying to finish him. But I was just putting myself out of position.
End of round number 1.
So there, as soon as I heard him, I started trying to put the pressure on him and trying to get the finish. And I went from flowing really well to, just loading up on the shots, which isn't my game. And I think I do the best when I'm just flowing. But I think it was a good first round. I just took my time. I think I just didn't have I wasn't trying to force anything. I was just trying to flow. And then, I think because I didn't have any set things in my mind, it allowed me just to attack what was there and just set different things up. And I think the feints, attacking all the different levels and the movement just started to break him really, and then I could find the openings. So, like you can see there when he starts to back off a little bit, which is a tell for me that he was struggling. He was sort of going on the ropes, which, as a smaller guy, you don't really want to be on with your back to the ropes because I've just got all the ring to use my range. But I think I was still pretty good at picking my shots there. But then when I had him hurt and his feet wobbled a little bit, I did try and swarm him, trying to get the finish, because I was like, oh, I want to knock him out with my hands here. And I think as well because I heard the bell for 10 seconds left, so I was like, oh, I'm going to try and get him out of here quickly and try and get the finish. But obviously, my feet just went all over the place. I was just walking him down, and I could have walked into a big shot. That's exactly what my coach here says, Adrian, my coach from Australia, and he just like re-centers me and gets me back into that, trying to flow and just using my techniques. So second round, I felt pretty confident. I felt like at the start of the first round, he was sort of like bouncing a bit in his corner and he looked pretty game and ready to go. And then at the start of the second round, I felt there was that sort of, oh, I don't really want to be in here anymore with this guy. Not because it's never been my style just to smash shots in, but just because it's so hard to hit me in these fights. And I was working the body. You're not sure where the shots are coming from. And then obviously I heard him as well and not necessarily because I was loading too much on the shot, but because I've just created the openings, so. You see, I feel like his body language, he still comes out, nice tight guards, but I feel like I found my timing now, my range, so I can. Just trying that left kick again, definitely not feeling it with the foot. See, I'm loading up, I'm sort of setting my base and throwing those punches again, but mixing nicely between, my kicking stance and throwing the punching. But see there as well, I'm probably trying to force the punches a bit too much, and I walk onto a right hand. So I adjust again. But I felt like I was overwhelming him a bit here. I'm probably still trying to hunt for the finish a little bit too much. And I think I go back to just flowing again here. That was nice, a 4-piece combination. Mixing up between going hooks and straights. Now just pause it here because this is one of my favourite setups, because with my boxing, I'd really just attack the head this whole fight. So, a few jabs, few left straights, right hooks, left hooks. And I could tell he was worried about those punches, and I'd hurt him to the head with a left hook before. So I think I was always good at making these sort of reads. And I was aware that when I was throwing that left hook now, he was really focusing on defending here, keeping this obviously guard up to defend against the hook, and the body had been open. So I didn't really think about it, but I was just in the flow, and I know that opening is going to be there, so I go for the left hook. And I remember there's a video that someone took from the crowd, and they're right up the back of the venue. And when I land the left hook, it just sounds like a gunshot just cracking in. Like I didn't necessarily dig it in, but it was more, I just whipped the left hook in, and it just made such a nice sound, obviously to the liver here. And yeah, he dropped, but there's a good photo as well where I've dropped him and he's gone down, and I'm just sort of standing over him. But he gets back up, he's tough. So I come back in, not trying to rush it. I just go a little teep to the belly again. And I think because his body hadn't fully recovered, like if people have been hit with a liver shot before, they'll know what it feels like. It just absolutely saps all the energy out of you. So I just thought, well, I'm not going to rush it here. Just go straight back to the body. And I just threw a little teep to the body, and I think that was just enough to just make him go down again. So I dropped him for the second time. See, it was a smart decision to do this, just give himself a little bit more time to recover. It's a bit of a veteran move. You've probably lost a round because it's going to be a 10-7 now because you've been dropped twice, but it's better that than just trying to stay up. But I go back, I feel like I push it too much. But see there, I try and finish him a bit too quickly. I'm rushing in and just trying to finish him with punches, and then it allows him to land a right hand. So I back off a little bit again and take my time. And I feel this is a nice finish here. I go loads of punches, and he's worried about the body. Boom, so the right head kick comes over the top.
This one is over.
And yeah, the referee will not, probably if you've dropped someone 3 times in a round, the referee's in kickboxing is going to jump in anyway, but I think he was pretty happy to be out of there. But I felt like that performance was probably one of the times where I just really flowed in the ring. I didn't really feel like I exerted too much energy. I felt pretty fresh afterwards. And he was a dangerous guy. He had quite a lot of power. He had knockouts, and he would swing hard. But I just took all those things away from him. Broke him down. Took my time. Found the openings. You can see I tried to force a finish a few times there because I was still, this is almost 5 years ago now, so I was still pretty fresh in my fight career. But I feel like I adjusted well, and then, broke him down and got the finish. Used loads of different weapons, and probably, my left leg is probably at this point as well is probably my best weapon, but I couldn't really use it because of the injury. But it just forced me to use everything else and just really, maybe not try and hunt a finish by throwing power shots with my left leg, but just, use all the weapons and just flow and just prove to myself that I could still get it done. So, yeah, that's a fun fight to look back on. It's good because there's no commentator, so I can just do the commentary myself. But I remember at the weigh-in, so at the weigh-in we weighed and then we did the face-off. And I remember he'd sort of, obviously I was quite a bit taller than him, but he was obviously getting into my space, but he was sort of like mean mugging me a bit. But we literally just stood there staring at each other for about, probably 5 minutes. No, neither one of us wanted to break eye contact. So I knew that he was game and he was up for it. I felt like maybe that sort of was a little bit of nerves as well, because I've been training with good people in Australia and then people that are present on social media. Then I'd been over at Fight Island and been in the corner and posting things. So, and he was Samoan Australian. Tai Tuivasa is Samoan as well. So I feel he would have been aware of Tai and that I was there. I was his training partner and things like that. And I think obviously Tai probably a good preparation for this sort of style of fighter as well. So I felt like he probably had a bit of nerves, but that nervous energy came out at the weigh-in as him really sort of getting into my face. And I won't back down. I'll just stare at you because it's just, well, we're going to fight tomorrow anyway. So, and like I said in the first round, I felt like I could tell he was game and he was up for it. That he was going to, come at me and try and land his shots. But then by the second round, I felt like I'd taken that out of him a bit. And I think you can see the body language difference. He goes from being quite up for it in the first or the second rounds, maybe looking to survive a little bit more, and then. But all fairness, he got up twice from the canvas from body shots and then put himself back in harm's way. So credit to him. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment. People have been enjoyed the last one I did, so we're going to keep on doing these. And it's fun for me to look back and watch how I used to fight and the progression, and then even, the mindset that I had and what I can take into going forward as well, and try and replicate that and get back to winning ways. So, yeah, make sure you like and subscribe.